What's going on, guys? Avxry here, and I'm bringing you a new series of pros and cons for GOROD KROVI. This one's actually going to be the Ray Gun Mark 3s. I did tweet out to you guys to give me some suggestions, and I got some really good feedback. So if you guys want to be featured in the next one, definitely follow me on Twitter, and when I tweet something out like this for GOROD KROVI, then you just reply and maybe you'll be featured. But anyway, let's get into it. So basically the first pro we have, it has 3 different features. Now on the right, if you hold down R2 or right trigger, it shoots just regular green bullets, which is pretty good. I have a lot of cons for that as well, so I'll be getting to that later. But then the left gun will shoot a little like yellowish orb. And then the third feature, which is actually really cool, which brings it back to the Apothecary Servant, is basically where you shoot the yellow orb and then shoot the right gun with basically just the ray gun feature into the yellow orb, and it goes into like an Apothecary Servant. So that's really cool, and I really did like that suggestion that someone brought up. I completely forgot that it had 3 features or 3 modes, and I really do like that pro, although it's kind of annoying at some points too. But yeah, so moving on to the next pro, it speeds up the lower rounds because it's very effective. You only have to camp around like one corner and then just use the, I guess, the Apothecary Servant type of feature or mode, where to the point that it just annihilates zombies. And also, if you could prolong the yellow orb, because you can keep the yellow orb out for a bit and then shoot it with the green orb, and then it extends the life into the purple orb, which is really good and helpful if you're just trying to save ammo and kill the most zombies as possible. And it's also a good way to stop zombies on higher rounds, or just slow them down from like bombarding you into a corner. Moving on to the next pro, you also have the penetrating damage. Now this goes on for, I guess, a few good low rounds, which again goes back to speeding up the rounds, where you could basically collateral zombies with the Ray Gun Mark 3 and the green shot. So I could show you some gameplay right now where basically I was just going around lining up zombies and watching them get annihilated. This is also really helpful for the Dragon Easter egg step if you're not on high enough round, to the point where it still penetrates zombies. Now the last pro is obviously it's a box weapon. You don't have to do anything to create it, which probably makes the map less tedious to do, because all you have to do is simply get it out of the box and you could use it. Now one thing people don't like is that not multiple people could use it, but I mean honestly, if you had 4 people using this weapon, it would probably be insane, and I don't think we'd really want to see that. But anyway, moving on to the cons now. It has a very slow fire rate, which I'm not a fan of. And then basically the first con and the second con kind of go hand in hand and make it just 10 times worse. But if you have double tap, the fire rate is pretty good and it's kind of tolerable at that point. So that's why I feel like it's kind of like a semi-con, because most people would be rocking double tap when they're playing GOROD KROVI. So I just feel like that if it was a little bit faster, it'd be better for the right side weapon. But moving on to the second con, again, I said this one goes hand in hand with the first one. It's an inaccurate spray. Like, honestly, when you're doing this, and also if you're trying to shoot the yellow orb, you have like maybe a 75% chance of hitting that orb from a good distance away, because the gun is just so inaccurate when you're shooting the right weapon. And I'm just not that big of a fan of it, because honestly, like, if you miss your target, you're gonna go down. You're gonna get hit by a train, and it's just horrible. And I mean, I guess that's why this weapon's kind of well balanced, but also it needs to be amped up a little bit in power. But going on to the third con, we have it's weaker on higher rounds. Now, obviously, this is a big deal because the other weapons like the Apothecary Servant or the bows, they all did a good amount of damage on high rounds, but this one just apparently does not. I mean, I don't know why, but I honestly wish it did a little bit better, especially because people said on round 40 it does incredibly less damage, and on round 100 it's basically useless, which is not good to hear, because in Shadows of Evil the Apothecary Servant was really helpful for these high rounds, like 100 plus, along with having just a simple bow, and the bows are really good. Also, it had a long duration with that, so I'm just kind of upset this is weaker on higher rounds, and I can see that as well. But moving on to the last con, basically the combo shot is sort of needed for this. Like I was saying, going back to the third con? Yeah, the third con. Basically, you need to use that combo shot to get anywhere on higher rounds, if you're even going to use that weapon. And I feel like alternate ammos don't really do that much on here, but that's one of the sad parts. And I honestly feel like the combo shot is needed, but it's, again, it doesn't have that large of a radius when you're using it, so that's the only downside about it. But guys, I hope you did go along and enjoy this pros and cons video. You guys have been wanting this for quite some time, and also guys, if you want to suggest a pros and cons, comment down below and I'll definitely get onto it. I'm going to try to get these done a lot more quicker, but anyway guys, my name's Avxry and I'm out.